Hi, I'm Ian Svenonius. Welcome to Soft Focus. Talk shows until now have been the exclusive domain of an elite sect of like-minded fascists who've conspired to keep the talk waves vacuous, full of idiocy. Their guest selection is horrible. Dum-dums and strawmen invited only for their notable ability to tout the decadent garbage produced by their crapulent overlords. Soft Focus is intent on changing all of this. In fact, we'd like to invite you to come change it with us. Come on. Because there's so many potentially fascinating subjects for us to interview, it would be unfair for us to choose favorites. Therefore, Soft Focus will rely on this lottery machine. Soft Focus will be a singular democratic institution in a society rotten with fascists. All the relevant performers are represented within this machine, and I can't wait to see who I speak with next. My next guest will be Will Oldham. If you didn't know, Will Oldham is a songwriter, a composer of avant-garde roots music, who's transformed the culture over the last dozen years. In fact, his influence cannot be underestimated, and I can't wait to speak with him. Oh, hello. So, some years ago, I always wanted to ask you about this. You took a trip to Cuba. Is that a secret?
What'd you hear about it?
I did some snooping around, just looking through your garbage, and
Did it sound fun?
I was really jealous, actually.
But
You know,
you've been.
Some people say that I've been to Cuba, but no, I have been to Cuba because I'm a big fan of Fidel Castro, as you might know. I announce it a lot because thank you, yes.
You know what they call him? You know they call him that?
Do they?
In private discussion in houses, if they want to talk about him, it's a habit to just go like this.
Oh, that's great.
In case they're being bugged.
Oh, that's great. Well, yeah. This is what I want to know. Right now, we're at the Guggenheim Museum in New York City, and right now they're actually featuring an exhibit by Jackson Pollock upstairs. And Jackson Pollock, it's been discovered, was actually secretly funded by the CIA to be an exponent of capitalism during the Cold War, as were many, many other artists. I'm wondering, did you feel like a kind of exponent of capitalism when you were in Cuba with Havanarama?
I'm sort of into capitalism. And so I felt like I was I was promoting my own beliefs.
Capitalism is the idea that the business owner owns something that actually creates money for them without working. So, in a sense, your records might sit on somebody's turntable and they're working, but they're not making any money for you.
So you don't trust the system?
I didn't say that.
The first time we went just for fun. The second time we went, we played. The first time we went for fun, and we went illegally and flew through Bahamas, Nassau. And when we were coming back, our connection was really fast. We back to Miami. So we were running through the airport to get on the plane, and they had U.S. Customs before we got on the plane. And they knew that people were coming off this Havana connection. So they said, where were you? Where was your trip? And I was like, Bahamas. And they said, well, where'd you stay? And I was like, I went to Cuba. And the guy was not happy because I honestly think that he was not happy because he wanted me to make up a better story. Because he didn't want to break my balls, But then he was just like, really angry, went through my bag, took everything out that looked at all like it could have been gotten in Cuba, and all the records that I bought, and broke the records, smashed them right there. And he was like breaking people's maracas and confiscating rum and cigars.
That's
and
amazing.
then I was flagged for about 5 years after that, where every time I went through the customs, they would scan my passport, then they would look and just ask me, 10 minutes more questions than they would ask anybody else I was traveling with.
Wow. That's crazy. Were they Beatles records?
They might have been. I don't read Spanish.
Yeah, wow. So you recently covered a record. You recently covered another artist's music on Bonnie Prince Billy Sings Greatest Palace Music.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like?
It was nice to get a chance to do something like that, to sort of, pay back some of the people that had influenced you, Just sort of...
So a nod, an homage.
Exactly, sort of a nod and homage.
How did the artist feel about your renditions?
I haven't had any communication, haven't heard any word.
I've heard that guy's kind of cantankerous.
Yeah.
Nina Simone had a...
I hate Nina Simone.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Well, let me just tell you this. It's irrelevant whether you like her or dislike her. She had a ritual before her concerts where she'd sit in every single seat in the house to get psyched. What do you think of that?
That's what she calls psyched?
Yeah, I don't know. So what do you think of those sort of OCD rituals?
I'm into rituals, and I'm into when being obsessive-compulsive actually merges with practicality.
Yeah. Like, give me an example.
Well,
Yoga?
I like drinking coffee with sambuca in it before playing.
Yeah, that's...
And I almost sometimes feel like as long as I do that, everything goes right. But I think there's logic to it as well.
Well, okay, now this is what I want to ask you, because I'm actually from Maryland, right outside Washington, D.C., and Maryland was a border state. Maryland was a border state during the Civil War. Like Kentucky.
Yes.
And you're from Kentucky.
Yes.
So did you feel like you have no identity?
No, I feel like I have a greater amount of freedom than most Americans.
But you're neither north nor south.
Exactly.
Well, listen, as a person from Kentucky, do you feel when you travel overseas, do people kind of fetishize you as some kind of American primitive?
God, I wish. Yeah, I think they do.
They do, don't they? I think they grant you more sort of, to them, you're more entitled to express yourself.
More entitled or more able?
More able. And entitled, meaning entitled as in the title. Okay, so this fetishism for by Europeans for you, what do they want from you? What do they expect from you? Do you feel like if you use like a fork properly, you're letting them down? To
some extent, yeah. We had a really fun show one night in somewhere, Brussels actually, in Belgium. Played for hours and hours, and then came off, and some people were sitting at the bar afterwards, and they said, "Would you come here? We want to talk to you." It's like, okay. Went over, and they were like, "What happened?" And I said, "What?" And they were like, "Looked like you were having fun."
Yeah.
And I was just like, they're like, "That's not what we came for."
Yeah.
And I was like, I can completely sympathize, and I would recommend next time that you don't come.
Yeah, exactly. But it's weird that they want you, they want you to be primal expression, but you were having fun, which is also, that's within the range of expressions.
Right, but not for Belgians, you see.
Yeah, that's true. So tell me about, so you just did this record store tour.
Yeah.
What was the ideology behind that?
I thought that if I played for free, then I could guarantee that everybody in the audience got their money's worth.
So yeah, that's interesting because do you feel guilt when you play and you take money from people?
I try to give them exactly what I think, at least the value of the cover charge, but that takes a lot of energy.
It's difficult.
Yeah. You want to hear a funny story from the trip?
Yes, I would.
I'll try to think of one. The record store tour was also a radio station tour. And one of the funnest parts about playing the radio stations is when they can get their call in. The last one I did was in Cleveland, and we just kept getting this woman calling for a certain Cramps song. And she kept calling over and over, requesting this Cramps song.
Yeah. Which Cramp song?
Something about Goo Goo.
Goo Goo Muck.
Yeah, Goo Goo Muck.
When the sun goes down and the moon comes up, I turn into a teenage Goo Goo Muck.
Yeah.
Do you think? So that song is about transformation. That's something that is intrinsic to your career, transformation.
Right. And they probably have a relationship with a couple of my big heroes, which were Larry Talbot.
Larry Talbot.
As played by Lon Chaney Jr. in the Wolfman, as the Wolfman character. And Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno in the Hulk show.
Oh, yes.
Those are huge, like,
heroes.
Sort of. I mean, they're people that I always look to in terms of, yeah. I think they're just so inspiring.
That's funny that you say that because I really liked Lon Chaney Jr. I thought he was great.
Wasn't he?
He's great.
So great.
I
have a painting of him on my on an organ at home, and then a painting of him as the Wolfman, just their bust of their faces.
He played a lot of monster roles. He was kind of typecast, and the funny thing about
that was his best role.
No, but that's interesting. So those are your heroes for acting and for music.
For music more.
Are transformative monster characters. Mm-hmm. That's funny that you say that because you do this acting, you're in these roles. You've also made a lot of records under different names. Bonnie Prince Billy, Palace Brothers, Palace, the etc.
For a while, make records and put them under different names because it seemed like you shouldn't have to worry about the names of the records or names of the bands or whatever. Just worry about the songs. But then people kept asking questions like that, and it seemed like, well, that's such a waste of time because now people are thinking about the names. So stop changing the names.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, okay, this is what I want to ask you. Are you into numerology?
I like 138 very much.
What is 138?
It's a Misfits song.
I know. But
I also like 401 and 410. 401 is the beginning of a lot of Kentucky Social Security numbers, and it's the Rhode Island area code, and 410 is the Baltimore area code.
Oh yeah, and you lived in Baltimore.
And in I think in Truth or Dare, Madonna Truth or Dare, one of her hotel room numbers is 401.
Wow. That's creepy.
Really creepy. Which brings me to a tour story. You ready for it?
Yes,
all right.
I'm ready.
So I play in Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids is a nice city. And the record store had so many good records, and afterwards I shopped around and brought a stack that I was going to buy. And they said, you can have them, which was the first record store on the tour where they gave me a bunch of free records, which is another reason why I do the free record store tour, is to get free records.
Yeah.
And for some reason, they weren't shelling out on this trip. But at this place, they did. And one of the records I finally decided to break down and get was Confessions on a Dance Floor.
Who's that? Who is that? Confessions on a Dance Floor.
It's the most recent Madonna studio record.
Oh.
Yeah. Because I bought all the Madonna records from the first one, and then what was it, Ray of Light came out, and Ray of Light was so bad that I was nervous about ever buying another record of hers. Then Music came out, and it was 60% really good, and I was excited about American Life after that, and it was awful. So then this one I was just like, I'm just tired, I'm not going to get another one. But I heard a single, and it sounded all right, so I thought I'm going to get this record. And we used to listen to Madonna 45s on 33 and pretend that she was a black man singing, because it worked. That's how into Madonna I was. So I got the record. Driving in the car the next morning, from Grand Rapids to Detroit. And we're driving along, I'm driving along, I mean the royal we.
You.
Yeah. And I put the Madonna record on, and it sounds okay. Car in front of me slams on their brakes, driving on the highway at 75 or 80 miles per hour. I slam on my brakes really, really hard and sort of lose control of the car. I've never slammed the brakes on so fast and so hard at such a high speed. Really nerve-wracking, you know, my heart, it's very scary. Lived through it. Maybe. What I'm getting at, see, I'm going to go to the end of the story, which is that this is like, you know, infinity getting shorter and shorter and shorter because of what has already happened, which was that crash occurred and my life ended. So track 4 comes on, and I think, that sounds really familiar. I just felt almost like a throat familiarity, like I'd sung this. Then she comes back around, sings the chorus again, and I was like, wait a second. That sounds a lot like a song of mine called Oh Let It Be, which is on 2 records. It's on a live record and an older record. So I was like, what the heck is this song called? And I looked at the back of the CD, and her song was called Let It Will Be.
Wow.
And she sings, she says, oh, let it be, let it will be, to the same, over the same progression, the same melody. So I'm freaking out, you know, and like I'm getting tunnel vision and feeling shortness of breath. And then I realize that what had happened was the car crash had occurred, and that this was all like, you know, like a Sunset Boulevard kind of thing, or, yep.
That's crazy.
And that everything that has happened since then, which in my time was a month and a half ago, but in all of you, like phantom times, it didn't really exist because you're wearing costumes and have just shown up here. Like this is one of the acts that you all had to do. Oh, we had to be here for Bonnie's like TV show thing that he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are you doing later? And that's everything that's happened up to this point.
Wow.
That's why I get to sit here with you.
So you think maybe Madonna, in another dimension, is as obsessed with you as you were with her.
Well, the only dimension that could be is in my personal heaven.
There's enough dimensions out there for that to be a dimension.
I guess so.
That's the thing.
Life in the afterlife is very, very demanding.
This new dimension is tough.
That's what I'm saying. It's really, really tough. I did not prepare for it. I did not think, you know, I was envisioned, oh, heaven's going to be great. But it turns out you sort of have to, like, you have to be sort of worked out and in shape mentally and physically to take full advantage.
So rock and roll, when we were children, it seemed really heroic. It doesn't seem quite, it seems less so now. Is it because, is porn heroic now?
Is porn heroic? Wait, hold on. Porn.
Because it's so degrading and demeaning and all that stuff, so it's like sort of heroic, and like the way Jesus was heroic, you know, for...
Did we talk about this?
No.
Yeah, because I was talking with someone the other day, about porn stars being like the new pirates in terms of them being heroes and things that kids aspire to.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, see, I don't think it's all that heroic, but when you see little girls in the mall with porn star T-shirts on, it seems like somebody's looking up to them. And then you think like how kids used to play at pirate and they play at porn star, right? Ugh.
But it's because of this thing. You know, rock and roll stars were used, were like, they were like dying in public and all this stuff, and now there's this thing, so it's a similar thing. And then the Jesus movie of him being flailed, it's the same kind of thing. It's that people want to see that kind of suffering, and rock and roll stars aren't suffering very much.
Yeah.
They look very like self-satisfied typically.
Yeah,
people like to see that kind of degradation.
They'd like to see something that seems transformative or hot or evolve.
Difficult.
They like to watch people go through changes, right?
I guess so.
And they think like, well, if I were doing that, that would seriously change me, right? And it is. Every time they do that, it's a little bit transformative.
I'm not saying that heroism is good necessarily. A socialist would say, no to the hero myth, you know? Like, that's
What
why
about
was Brezhnev so boring? Because
What about the people who are clapping for your friend Fidel? He's not a hero?
he is heroic, but he's the exception that proves the rule.
I love exceptions.
That's the thing. Well, listen, what about this? So, Billy Childish wrote a short story about a man himself making love to a dog, but it's very, like, beautiful.
Have you ever made love to a dog? Have you seen that Sex with Dolphins website?
That's what I wanted to ask you about. That's so weird.
Did you really?
No, but what do you think of rich women going out and having sex with dolphins?
This was actually dudes having sex with dolphins. And there's one warning on it to not let the dolphin, to a man or a woman, to not let the dolphin enter you, because dolphin ejaculate can travel like 12 to 15 feet. And it could cause serious internal damage.
Not if you wore protection.
But
if you use protection.
I swam with dolphins one time, and the lady who was my guide, she said, and she was from Kentucky, weirdly, and this was in Key Largo, she said, be careful rubbing the dolphin's belly. If the dolphin's belly turns pink, you're turning it on. That's not a good idea. She said, dolphins are the only animal on the earth besides humans that have recreational sex.
That rape.
And rape.
That's true. They're the rapists of the sea.
But
I'm a little tired of the dolphin worship of our culture, like this idolatry. I mean, I know they're smart. They're chattering incomprehensibly. That's so weird. You know that they also kill for fun. They are really amazing creatures, those dolphins.
Yeah, they are. So smart. How do you get your ejaculate to go 12 to 15? That is so smart. No, really. How did they figure out how to do that?
Yeah. No, I know. They must have a laboratory down at the bottom of the sea.
Right. And rape in the sea? I mean...
I'm sorry. I shouldn't be destroying people's illusions about dolphins.
Right.
It's cool. If people want to like dolphins, there's plenty of worse things in the world than dolphins. I really want to thank you for coming down.
I really want to just say that it's been so nice to be here with you.
I really appreciate it.